Modern Stoicism, women. Stoicism is a philosophy that is made up of personal ethics and the path to happiness. The Stoics argued this happiness is found by following nature. Stoicism introduces ideas that strive towards balance and stability. However, the history of philosophy isn't all ideal, meaning that there is room for critique. We so prominently hear about philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and so on. However, it's about time we intently listen to more voices other than these wise men. We have to question the inclusivity of this philosophy. Where are the women? So, here's a look into the impact of women upon modern Stoicism. You might question why this is important. Surely the teachings of philosophy are more important than who is teaching it. However, the importance is representation. Representation holds power, not only through finding the voice you identify with, but by having a wider range of perspectives that a diverse representation grants. Finding the voice you represent is empowering, inspiring, and powerful. Women in Stoicism offer not only a voice, an important voice, but also an alternative perspective. Within our modern landscape, further representation has been granted. Developments have been made that are more important than ever before. Modern Stoicism is an intellectual popular movement that emerged at the end of the 20th century. Its revival was increased due to a surge of virtue ethics. Prominent figures during this time period include Dr. Albert Ellis, who developed rational emotive behavior therapy, alongside Alan T. Beck, father of early cognitive behavioral therapy. The alignments with these psychological teachings and Stoicism emerged further thoughts and developments to be made to the ancient teaching. Additionally, the work of inspirational Viktor Frankl worked to promote the benefits of Stoic thought, fighting against suffering and adversity. Frankl's experience in a concentration camp highlights the importance of his work and ultimately Stoic thought. Despite these amazing stories and wise thoughts, the women's impact upon Stoicism is clearly less prominent. Here we will explore the impact of 4 important women and their link to modern Stoic thought. Modern Stoicism is ultimately being catalyzed as a movement due to digital media and an increase in the power of the internet, the influx of participatory media and audience members. This evolution of digital culture has led to a wider range of voices and possibility to question and alleviate the influence of more people, including female Stoic philosophers. First prominent advocate and powerful member of Stoic philosophy is Arianna Huffington. Huffington is a Greek-American author, columnist and businesswoman. She's co-founder of Huffington Post and author of 15 books. She's on the list for Forbes 100 Most Powerful Women. She graduated from the University of Cambridge studying economics, and comments on the beliefs and powers of Stoic philosophy. She discusses the influence of Marcus Aurelius' meditations. She talks about the relevance of Aurelius in our modern landscape. It perfectly illustrates the current moment. Right now, that first retreat he's talking about is mostly digital. But the only way to find peace and thrive is to take breaks from the world and make time to regularly renew ourselves by reconnecting with ourselves. Her advocacy of Stoic philosophy breaks the assumptions that construct the culture of philosophical environments. Men are not the only ones with voices. Huffington offers the Stoic landscape further room for women to fit in. Arguably the most significant voice is Philippa Foot. She acted as a catalyst for the modern Stoicism movement. Foot is an English philosopher and one of the founders of contemporary virtue ethics. She was inspired by Aristotle's ethical teachings discussing most prominently moral ethics. Educated at Somerville College, Oxford, obtaining a first-class degree in philosophy, economics and politics, Her interest in moral law somewhat aligned with that of the Stoics. Stoicism's view on morality claimed that moral virtue is achieved through knowledge and reason. All knowledge, argued the Stoics, is rooted from experience. Foote's ideas appeals to virtue of charity and justice, arguing that virtue is important in her ideas of morality. Virtue, she argues, is a disposition of the will. Foote's work is argued to influence modern Stoicism, alongside Alasdair MacIntyre and Martha Nussbaum, among others, have brought back virtue ethics as a viable alternative to the dominant Kantian deontological and utilitarian consequentialist approaches, states Pigliucci. The surge in virtue ethics inspired the revival of ancient Stoic thought. Because of this, Foote's input into philosophy is significant and duly notable. Next is Nancy Sherman. She is a distinguished university professor. She is author of several books and developed thoughts on military ethics that have been significant. She received her master's at the University of Edinburgh and a doctorate from Harvard. Sherman has introduced research in general ethics, moral psychology, and the history of philosophy. Alongside this, Nancy Sherman has written on the theories of ancient Stoics. She discusses how these theories can be modified to be beneficially applied to a modern context and the modern soldier. In her book Stoic Warriors, she adopts the perspective of a soldier focusing on courage and emotional control. Sherman's voice in philosophy has actively aided in the development of Stoic thought, but she's also active in the discussion of Stoicism as a way to help others. Her influence is therefore powerful, as a female voice is ultimately beneficial in Stoicism. Finally, the last important voice is Martha Nussbaum. She is an American philosopher and the current Ernst Freund Distinguished Service Professor of Law and Ethics at the University of Chicago. She initially studied theatre and classic at the University of New York, moved to philosophy whilst at Harvard, where she did a Master of Arts degree and her Doctor of Philosophy. She taught at both Brown and Harvard and the University of Chicago Law School. Her work often explores the unequal freedom and opportunities of women. Another prominent subject of her philosophical work is discussing emotions. She defends the neo-Stoic account of emotions. This argues that there are things outside our control. Our judgment on these external events have the power to dictate our own personal flourishing. From these perspectives, she has proposed evaluations on grief, compassion, and love in one of her many books. Her work draws on her training in the classics, but also a wide range of topics such as anthropology, psychoanalysis, sociology, and various other expertise. She is focused on searching for the conditions of eudaimonia, and her work embodies the reach for this ideal. Sherman states, Martha changed the face of philosophy by using literary skills to describe the very minutiae of a lived experience, providing and advocating for Nussbaum's influence and power on the Stoic landscape. Women in this modern landscape are becoming more and more important, which is why it's important to increase their voices and their impact. This lecture just proves the profound ability that women have of understanding and influencing Stoic thought, an ability that should no longer be ignored.